Welcome to Cooking with Bubbles. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Rodney. Let's get started. Six turns of the wire. We should do a little dance routine to this.
Exactly. That'd be cute.
Here we go. Woo.
Couple of twists and boom.
Wow. This is my favorite part of the morning.
Plus waking up and all.
Well, there's all that too.
Fill this baby to the top almost because I need it. I want it today.
What are you putting in yours?
And
Oh, me too.
I thought about doing orange juice, but I'm like, next time.
Next time. Cheers.
Clink.
Clink. Mm. Oh.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, it's so delicious.
Yes.
Wow. Well, here we are back to doing what we love, and that's cooking while drinking Prosecco. And I would invite anybody that's watching to pour your own glass of bubbles and enjoy the show. And also take note that we're wearing our fancy new branded aprons, and you can get yours too, and we'll tell you how later.
Perfect. So here we are, like you mentioned, doing what we love doing. You're in your kitchen, I'm in my kitchen, and with everyone staying home a lot more, what a fun way to still get together with your friends and do the stuff you love to do. And for us, that's cooking and drinking with bubbles.
Absolutely.
So Rodney, what are we going to make today?
Well, today we are making baked cream cheese French toast casserole.
Yum. Sounds so good. I'll drink to that.
Yes. My mom told me about this recipe, and she's made it a couple of times for my family back in Ohio. When I told her we were making it today, she's like, "Oh, that sounds really good. I've got some sourdough bread. Maybe I'll make it today."
Nice.
So, thank you, Judy, for sharing this wonderful recipe for us. It sounds really delicious, and I can't wait to make it.
Yeah.
And the recipe includes crusty bread, and we'll give you some options on that in a moment. Cream cheese, powdered sugar, vanilla extract, eggs, milk, cinnamon, and brown sugar. It also has a streusel topping of more brown sugar, more cinnamon, flour, and butter.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So I'm going to be using sourdough bread today.
Yeah, I am too. And even though the recipe calls for 9x13 pan, we're both cutting this recipe in half. So what we decided, we did some math, and it was not easy, but it was not easy. A 9-inch round is about the same surface area as half of a 9x13. It's a little off, but it's close enough. So we're both using a fairly deep 9-inch round cake pan, which is about the same volume that we would get in half of a 9x13. So to prepare, I've already sprayed the bottom of my pan with non-cook spray and covered it with a bunch of torn, crusty bread pieces. Lisa mentioned she's using sourdough. I'm using sourdough. You can also use French bread. You can use challah. You can use whatever you like. And it really works best to shop the day-old store or the crusty bread aisle, and get something that's a little bit starting to crust already. And it just makes it a little bit easier to work with.
Absolutely.
All right.
So to get us started, like you mentioned, you already have your bread in the pan. I use slices, and I'm using about 6 cups total sliced bread cut into little 1-inch cubes. And now I'm going to get started by creaming my cream cheese. And
awesome.
because we're doing this, cutting it in half, we're going to use our whisk. And I'm only using 4 ounces for this part of the recipe.
Yeah, awesome.
All
right, great. Now we're going to blend in 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar. I've already got this measured out. And we're going to blend in about 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. And just a tip, be sure that your mixture is smooth after you blend in the vanilla and powdered sugar.
Okay, good. So Rodney, I realized earlier I forgot to say that I started with room temperature softened cream cheese. It's really important. It helps it to blend a lot better. So the next thing we're going to do is start plopping our cream cheese mixture just randomly over different parts of the bread in the pan.
Okay.
And I'm using probably about a teaspoon of a plop for each spot that I drop.
Is that a technical term?
It is. Plopping is very technical, straight out of the kitchen guide book. We'll get this all set up, and then after we do this, we're going to put the remaining amount of our breadcrumbs left back on top, and we're going to set it to the side. And I think that's it for that part.
All right, I'm going to put us on pause for just a second. All right, welcome back. Since this recipe is cut in half, you're going to hear some really weird measurements, and this is how we had to think about it in order to get it right, because when you're cutting things in half, it can be a little bit tricky. We're using the same bowl because it's all going in the same place, right? And we want to minimize the number of dishes we have to clean up later. So we put our eggs in our bowl. We've already got them broken, and now we're going to add in a cup of milk plus 2 tablespoons. And we're going to mix that up. We're going to add in 1, let's see here. It's 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar. We're going to add in some more cinnamon, which is a 1/4 of a teaspoon and 1/8 of a teaspoon, which is 3/8 of a teaspoon for your math whizzes out there. And we're going to put in some more vanilla. So 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla. And we're going to mix this all up, and we're going to mix it until we have no lumps in our brown sugar.
Okay.
All right, welcome back. Now that we've got our mixture mixed and everything's good, we're going to just pour it over the top of the layers of bread. So we already put our second layer of bread on top of the cream cheese, and now we're just putting this over the top of the whole thing. And once we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the fridge, and we're going to leave it in the fridge for at least 3 hours, but preferably overnight, to give it a time for that bread to absorb all that good stuff that we just put over the top of it. And then we're going to bake it, and we'll be back to do that in a little while.
Good.
Welcome back. Gosh, that pause made me thirsty.
I'll drink bubbles to that.
Whew, yes. Time for a refill.
Well, we both preheated our ovens to 350, so that will help us get everything started with that. So what's next?
Well, now we're going to make the streusel that goes on top, and we're going to take, let's see, we have 3 tablespoons of unsalted cold butter that we've kind of chopped up into smaller pieces, and we're going to use 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons of both brown sugar and flour, and then we're going to add, you guessed it, more cinnamon. And we're going to use a pastry cutter to cut this all in, and I think it's going to make some sort of like a crumble top.
Yeah, that sounds good. If you didn't have a pastry cutter, you can also just use a couple of forks. It does the same job.
Yeah, just maybe not as easy.
So once we get this in the oven, how long does this thing bake?
Well, for the half a recipe, it will take about 30 minutes, and we're going to check it after 25 minutes just to see how it's looking, because we don't want to overbake it. Yeah,
that's a really good idea. Well, I'm going to drink bubbles to that and get this stuff mixed together.
Amen, sister.
Yes.
All right, welcome back. So we learned a couple things during our creation of the streusel. Based on my experience with working with something like this, I think we could have used softened butter, and I think we could have put it in a baggie and smushed the butter, flour, brown sugar, and cinnamon together, and it would have
Right.
made a nice streusel, just like what we ended up here. And it would have been maybe a little easier, maybe not. But my point here is, trust your instincts. If something in the recipe doesn't make sense, it's okay to modify it and do it a little differently.
Yeah.
We chose to follow the recipe here, and it's going to turn out just fine. But you can always be brave, and you can modify the technique or the recipe based on your own knowledge and experience as a cook, chef, baker, whatever you consider yourself.
Yeah. I mean, when you make a
So,
streusel for like a blueberry pie or something, that's exactly the kind of topping that you make, right? It's done in a baggie. You,
I
you
do.
know, it crumbles up
You've had
nicely.
my crumble topping.
I know, and it's delicious.
Yeah. So I'm using a couple of forks to put it on here on the top. Lisa, you're using a couple of spoons.
Yeah.
The other thing we kind of talked about while we were mixing this up is you could even put on kitchen gloves and, just crumble it up between your fingers, or if you're comfortable having this kind of butter and stuff on your fingers, just use your bare fingers. It's all going to get cooked. So it's not like there's any risk of, touching food that's ready to eat. It's going to be cooked. So
Yeah.
whatever you're most comfortable with, just pick a method and go with it. And so once we get this all put on here, gosh, this is taking way longer than I thought it would.
Okay, mine looks good. I'm
Making
happy
me very
with the way this
thirsty.
looks.
Okay, good.
I'll drink bubbles to that.
Oh, good Lord, me too.
Mm.
Oh, yummy. Yeah, this has been a fun recipe. I really didn't know what we were going to get with these steps, but
I know,
it's
it
actually
looks
turned out
really,
really
really
well,
good.
and I cannot
Yeah.
wait to taste the finished product.
Yeah, so there's mine with all the crumbles on top. We'll see how it looks
Oh,
when it gets baked. Yeah, I'm
that's
happy with that.
nice. That's really nice.
I imagine it's all going to come nicely blended together again, so it'll be good.
Awesome. All right, well, I'm going to call mine done too. I've got everything in there.
Okay.
So now we're going to put it in the oven for about 30 minutes. We're going to check it after 25 just to make sure it's not crusty. And in the meantime, we're going to drink some bubbles.
Yum.
Mm. All right, we're back and it's done. It looks amazing. It smells delicious. It was a very easy recipe to make. And now we're going to
Yes.
taste it. So I'm going to scoot some of this out, put it on a plate. I'm going to put maple syrup on mine. Oh my goodness, that looks so good.
Me too.
Maple syrup. You can also put on powdered sugar, fresh fruit. You can have that on the
Ooh.
side. You can put on like cinnamon, powdered sugar, anything like that. But this looks really, really amazing. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of maple syrup on mine and see how it tastes.
It's got a nice crunchy top to it. Oh my God.
Mm.
That is excellent.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
You have to thank your mom for turning us on
Thank
to
you,
this
Mom.
recipe.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, so good. I'm gonna have a second bite.
Me too, because why not?
So good.
Well, that's going to do it for today.
I love how the cream cheese is, showing up in there.
Oh yeah.
So nice.
Yeah, I made sure my second bite
good.
had a big old lump of cream cheese in it. So yummy.
Let's make a bite.
All right. Well, we want to wrap this up. We want to thank our sponsor today, Cork Tray, for providing this wonderful trivet made of wood and cork that helps protect my countertop. So Thank you, Cork Tray. And we'd also like to thank our virtual audience for joining today. Thank you all so much for watching Cooking with Bubbles. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and remember to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/cookingwithbubbles.
And we mentioned earlier that if you wanted to know how to get a hold of these cool Cooking with Bubbles aprons, we would tell you. And all you have to do is send us an email. And if you have any pictures of items like we featured on Cooking with Bubbles, the things you've made, please send those to us. Or if you have suggestions on things we should make with Cooking with Bubbles, let us know. And you can email us at cookingwithbubbles@yahoo.com. Well, that takes care of it for today. And there's my yummy, yummy dish. Looking
so
forward to
good.
gobbling up the rest of that.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
that takes care of it. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Rodney. See you next time.
Bye.